Good morning, and welcome to the City of Rockville's virtual Veterans Day ceremony. I'm Mayor Bridget Donnell Newton, and I'd like to recognize our council members, Monique Ashton, Beryl L. Feinberg, Dr. David E. Myles, and Mark Pershala. 102 years ago, on this day, at this hour, in this month, a war ended. 102 years later, we still with silence mark the solemnity of that concluding moment of the First World War. More than 4.7 million American service members served during that great war, and more than 18 million Americans today who have served live amongst us. Nearly 400,000 of them are our fellow Marylanders. Today especially, we thank our veterans and their families who have given so much to preserve our dreams for that future and to hold fast to the freedom to pursue that vision of a more perfect union, of justice for all, of domestic tranquility, and to secure the blessings of liberty. Today is the day we reach out with gratitude to those men and women who for us define patriotism and remember our debt to all who have worn the uniform in service to our country. Today, on Veterans Day, we set aside this time to honor the men and women who have served so honorably to protect and preserve the freedoms we enjoy. The true soldier fights not because he hates what is in front of him, G.K. Chesterton wrote, but because he loves what is behind him. Let us look amongst ourselves and say to these true heroes, thank you. And when our brave military members return, they continue to serve. They are part of the fabric of our community, using their skills and talents in all aspects of our community's life. And now, as then, at the conclusion of that great war, we hope for an end to violence. Let us reaffirm our commitment to a future free from conflict. There is a certain enthusiasm in liberty that makes human nature rise above itself in acts of bravery and heroism. These words by Founding Father Alexander Hamilton ring especially true today. To our brave veterans, you make peace possible. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your sacrifice. Our guest speaker today is Rockville City Councilmember Dr. David Myles. David Eric Myles is serving his first term as a council member on the Rockville Mayor and Council. Dr. Myles serves on the Rockville Goes Purple Opioid Awareness Planning Committee and has served on the Rockville Bike Advisory Committee and as the physician representative for Montgomery County's Mental Health Advisory Committee. A Navy veteran and pediatrician by training, Dr. Myles has provided pro bono medical care at Holy Cross Hospital. After graduating from Yale University with a Doctor of Medicine and Master of Science in Psychology, he and his family moved to Maryland to pursue pediatrics residency training at Johns Hopkins Hospital. It is with great pleasure that I welcome Councilmember Dr. David Myles.
Thank you all for your time and for the honor of addressing you all on this Veterans Day. My name is David Myles. I currently serve as one of your Rockville City Council members and previously served active duty in the United States Navy. As I contemplated what to say in this time of uncertainty on multiple fronts, I thought it would be helpful for us to reflect upon the words stated by a previous president at the first Veterans Day, which came after World War I just over a century ago. The former president said that, with splendid forgetfulness of mere personal concerns, we remodeled our industries, concentrated our financial resources, increased our agricultural output, and assembled a great army so that at last our power was a decisive factor in the victory. We were able to bring vast resources, material and moral, of a great and free people to the assistance of our associates in Europe who had suffered and sacrificed without limit in the cause for which we fought. It is remarkable how applicable those words are today over 100 years later. Although he was talking about the end of hostilities in the First Great War, we are currently under attack from a different and very formidable enemy, one that resides here at home and not away in some far-off country. Our enemy today is division. In the context of a global pandemic, environmental catastrophe, economic recession, racial unrest, and political strife, it may seem a bit far-fetched at best to suggest that our greatest enemy is our inability to come together. At worst, such an assessment could come off as callous and indifferent to the significant toll that each of these crises has and continues to cause. However, our inability to come together for a common purpose renders us inept to defeat our greatest enemies, and is the reason I assert that division is our greatest adversary. This country's strength comes from people coming together and sacrificing in service to others. Unity is why we were victorious in both great wars. Unity is how we came out of a Great Depression with one of the largest expansions of the middle class in this nation's history. Unity is how we made the difficult but necessary progress to pass and enforce civil rights legislation. Unity is why we took science seriously and implemented evidence-based policies to improve the quality of the air we all breathe and water we all drink. Unity is, most importantly, how we put country before politics to achieve it all, just like the very veterans who took that sacred oath. In this time when so much is wrong and many of us feel defeated, I encourage you to find strength and support from among the men and women who are living examples of how to achieve victory despite the long odds. Veterans came from all over this country, rural countrysides to inner cities, and are more demographically diverse than the country we took an oath to serve. The military was racially integrated before much of America was, and continues to lead the way on gender pay equity. Despite all of our apparent and not so apparent differences, we took that oath to serve something bigger than us. Stated plainly, we became united around a common cause, to uphold the ideals to which this country aspires, and are the living embodiment of this country's motto, E pluribus unum, out of many, one. If we are to overcome this pandemic, then we need to unite behind science and basic human decency, to wear our facial coverings, maintain a safe distance, and to check in on each other. To mitigate the existential threat that we are experiencing in this climate catastrophe, we will need to reduce our consumption of carbon and, in so doing, leave this planet better than we found it. To meaningfully address the economic turmoil affecting this all, we can learn lessons from the past in the context of the post-Depression recovery. Shoring up the economy did not mean simply propping up businesses and banks. It meant trying to find a way to provide a job to every individual who was capable to work. Overcoming centuries of racism and bias will require more than long overdue legislation, however important. It will ultimately require a willingness to see the humanity in each other and a commitment to act accordingly. Finally, and perhaps most important, we must overcome this partisan divide that prevents us from coming together to enact the change necessary to successfully navigate the aforementioned challenges. In other words, we must act more like our veterans and put our country and neighbors first. Thank you for your time. May God bless you, this city, and this nation.
Thank you for your service, Councilmember Dr. Myles, and thank you for recognizing this day with us.